What is up, Las Vegas and friends? Welcome back to the Guest List Podcast. I am your host, Jake Gallen. And today I get to talk to somebody who I had never actually had the opportunity to have a very in-depth conversation, but he's been my manager in the nightclub for a little while, and he's traveled all over the world with Hakkasan Group, managing different properties. So
yes, sir. Hopefully
we could get some introspection on the nightlife and the infamous dad joke connoisseur who is Derrick Ervin.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for coming on, brother.
Thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it. Really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Yeah, like I said, I really dig the shirt. For those that are watching on YouTube, swaggy.
Like, hey, I'm going to be on TV. Why not? You know?
always dress and fly. How's it been over the last 5 months since last time I've seen you? Derrick was actually in the building at Omnia with me when we got the sad news that we weren't going to be opening for a long time.
Yeah, it's been pretty chill. I tell everyone, obviously, kind of March and April was a shock to everyone. It was our opportunity to kind of get used to it, our opportunity to either do projects or clean or just kind of like get a wrap around like what's going on, And then here comes May. We're kind of used to, our new way of life, so we kind of venture out a little bit and are a little more used to it. And then June, stuff starts to open up. So here's our little glimpse of, okay, we're finally going to start opening up, maybe not all the way, but here's our little glimpse. And then July and August was just basically our new way of life to just get used to it, So that's kind of where I think everyone is, just kind of how can we adapt to kind of what's going on.
Yeah, Vegas does actually a pretty stellar job when it comes to adapting and innovating. You saw that, unfortunately, we did have to close down for 2 months. It felt like the world was ending. The strip had never closed, I think they said, ever.
Yeah. Everybody was on bikes, and it was kind of cool. I never went down to the strip during all that, just because A, I couldn't find a bike, and then B, just everyone was down there. So I was like, well, do I really want to go down there because everyone's down there? Probably not. But everyone who went down there said it was just so cool. People calling me like, hey, are people riding bikes down the strip? I'm like, yeah, like that's the new Friday, Saturday thing to do, just to ride your bike down the strip, Just crazy, man. Just,
Yeah, I got to ride my bike down there downtown. It had this very like apocalyptic, ominous type feel.
Especially with all the lights out too. That was kind of weird, because obviously everything's boarded up, but then people are still like, riding down, you see everyone on their Instagram and things like that. It's kind of cool, but kind of surreal too,
Yeah. Vegas, I know that we're going to find some way to revolutionize this. They've put up I think gambling was the first thing to get the innovation with the little plexiglass boards and the mask, which that viral video that went online when Vegas first opened where no one had masks on. Yeah. Have you seen that video? Yeah. And unfortunately, everybody was right that it became a little bit of a hot spot. So now I think the media has kind of hopped on that because now I see everywhere from the different Vegas people that I've talked to or the blogs that I follow, they're like, Vegas is a hot spot. Vegas is a hot spot. Vegas is this. Vegas is that.
And plus everyone from everywhere where COVID was, in a sense, its strongest was coming here too, so they were kind of like contracting the virus and like bringing it to us where we may have been kind of safe-ish, but then here it all comes from all these different other parts of the U.S., so.
Yeah, right before you actually showed up for this interview, I saw that Vegas in general was down 37% this quarter.
Yeah.
Which actually, I thought it was going to be a lot worse. I thought it was going to be like the airlines that were down 80 to 90%.
Yeah.
So it seems that they have found a little bit of a niche as far as I did see that young gamblers were something that has taken the strip by surprise.
Yeah.
Maybe that's because of the stimulus money.
And then maybe because there's nothing to do. Why not? It's just funny because during all this, I've had friends come into town and the first thing they want to do is go gamble, and it's just like, okay, cool. That's pretty much 70% of what we can do. So yeah, let's just go gamble. So I think because of the opportunity with other things being closed, that has increased.
Yeah, people got to make some money right now.
And then now that sports betting, that's just, that's another, gambit in the hat. So just why not, man?
And our lovely clubs, they've found their own niche. I haven't been able to go to one yet because I know it's just table reservations. Some of the day clubs have rebranded into White Republic Pool and EDC Pool, and then some of the nightclubs have become more of a lounge. Yeah, it's kind of like a workaround, but it does seem safe. Have you had the opportunities to go to any of these events?
I have. It's just different, and I guess the main difference is, like, for example, I've had friends come in town and they're like, hey, Derrick, let's go to White Republic, or let's go here, let's go there. I'm like, dude, it's not going to be the same. It's just not. They're like, no, it's Vegas. It's going to be the same. I'm like, again, it's not going to be the same. So, we went to a pool, and don't get me wrong, it was fun, but again, their expectation did not meet the reality, I mean, did we drink? Yes. Did we have a good time with each other? Yes. Did we talk to the servers and staff? Yes. But again, were we able to talk to other cabanas and things like that? No. Were we to go rage in DJ booth? No. Were we able to meet people from everywhere and get their numbers and go hang out later? No. So it was still a level of fun, but it was just a redirected level of fun.
So it sounds like it's a little bit more of an intimate atmosphere with the group that you come in. I'm sure that there's a limit on the amount of people that you could bring into a table too, whether it's 8, 12 or whatever the case is. There's no GA.
There's no GA, and again, you never really understand how much energy GA can bring, it just does. Because again, if you're not with a group, not to say that's not fun, but that's not fun, you're literally feeding off the energy of just the people in your group. You can't bring girls to the table, and you just can't feed off of what's around you. You have to kind of create the party yourself, And then again, some places don't even have a DJ, so the DJ is really not hyping up the crowd, DJ iPod is, but the DJ is really not hyping up the crowd. So it's just different. And again, I just think that people have learned to work around it. It's just a different type of fun to be had. It's still fun. It's just different.
Yeah, the allure of the nightclub is the mystery that's behind it. Mm-hmm. You're going out to a table and you're like, oh, I could have all these girls show up, or if if you're a bachelorette party, you're gonna find some guys, you're gonna have a good time out. And all these weird random things that happen in the club that you never expect. Your girl loses a bunch of her shoes and she's on the dance floor somehow. You have to go dive into it.
That's just not gonna happen. A group of friends came in town this past weekend. They were like, Derrick, let's go out. I'm like, dude, no. It's just not gonna be fun, So I told them where to go, and literally the next day they were like, Derrick, we did not have fun. I'm like, I told you this 2 weeks ago when you said you were coming to Vegas, But again, people's perception of, maybe they don't really think that COVID is here in Vegas. I don't know, but it's just different. It's just different, man.
We're gonna have to rebrand. When Michael Naft that I had back on episode 8, he's the Clark County Commissioner, and in that interview he had mentioned, and this is way back in May, that nightclubs would be the last thing to open up.
I can see that.
Unfortunately, it's like a hot spot. You have to be like, all right, the nightclubs, either there's a vaccine out, or we have COVID cured, or we're just like, fuck it, we're going for herd immunity at this point, and protect grandma and grandpa and those who are immunocompromised. The rest of you guys are kind of just on your own. And some of the countries have gone down that route. You've seen, I think it was Sweden that kind of just did that burn rate right through the beginning. So it's either do you want short-term pain and then longevity afterwards, or do you want to kind of neutralize all of that pain altogether, and hopefully that we can get it through.
Because even now that even some of the schools are opening, I keep reading that some of these colleges are getting, mass influxes of COVID cases now, and that's with them following, strict guidelines or, semi-strict guidelines. So, I mean, if that's a college campus, getting, hundreds of cases per day or new cases or whatever the case may be, I just can't really see a nightclub, that's meant to hold thousands of people to just open its doors to let all these people in and, potentially expose them or whatever the case may be, I mean.
It's tough. Also, to go on a little throwback, I had Naboo Reyes on my show in the beginning, and we were talking about, this was episode 4, so this is back in April. We were talking about what do we think the future of nightlife and day life holds. And one of the things that I had mentioned is that once it does come back and resurge, we're probably going to see a brand new genre come in, because I can guarantee you Calvin's not going to be making, in the mid six figures or whatever it was anymore, because either bottle prices are going to have to come down to kind of substantiate for the amount of money that's been lost around the world, or it could be on the other end where the rich get richer and the poor get poor. So, and those are kind of the people that go out and club. But I think we might see a return to DJ iPod or, DJ Meow Mix coming up there and getting on the ones and twos.
And, I think people nowadays too have found a new kind of way to party, a lot of house parties lately, that people have been having, like kind of gatherings and, outdoor events and, my biggest thing, like I can't wait to go back to festivals. I love going to festivals, and I just can't wait to be able to do that. And, the fact that we had, EDC, online, that was cool. Like I didn't watch it the first day because I thought it was kind of stupid, but then I did watch it Saturday and Sunday. I was like, you know what, this is dope. This is actually really, I'm at home, it's not any kind of fear of like getting lost or, losing my friends or anything like that, but it's actually dope and really appreciating the music. It was cool. It was a good idea. And it actually, took care of the need at that time, because I was pissed. I was like, man, EDC, man, like, life is beautiful. Like, just my jams, man, it's gone. But, it was cool. It was cool.
I like that you're all aboard the festival train, because I've been that for the life of me.
I am, man.
I was just having a conversation with one of my friends on like next year, hopefully, crossing my fingers, what festival would be the first one to go to. And we're really trying to go back to Electric Forest in Michigan. That's my favorite one I've ever been to. Even
in Houston, we had South by Southwest. Just so dope, man.
South by Southwest was actually the first festival that canceled. That kind of like brought the whole ship down. Everyone was like, oh my God, South by Southwest is done. Like, what does the future hold? Because it's a big staple.
It's a big one. And then even like, from my understanding, like in reading the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo, right now, I think it's still scheduled to be on, and that's end of February, early March. And normally they have a big concert after each livestock show every day. So as of right now, that's still on. But again, who knows what's going to happen in the next few weeks or whatever, a few months. It's probably going to cancel, but...
Yeah, you're from Houston, right?
I'm from Houston, yeah, man.
Awesome. All right, so I actually have never heard the story of D-Erv before he made it to Vegas. So, can you get? So tell me about yourself. What was it like growing up in Houston? Did you go to college out there?
I did.
Kind of how was that whole experience?
So I went to basically, I grew up in Houston. Elementary, high school. I went to college just right outside of Houston, Sam Houston State. Graduated and everything like that, and then just as soon as I graduated, I told my parents, I was like, hey, I have a degree in IT. I told them like, hey, I want to go work on a cruise ship. They're like, what? I'm like, yeah, why not? And I'm almost like, a cruise ship? I'm like, yeah, there's this opportunity. I can go like sell the world, and bartend. I'm like, it'd be so dope. And she was like, okay, cool. So I did that for a year, just literally right out of college, and then right after that, I got a job, doing like IT for some insurance. I did some IT for like the airlines. And again, it's a degree that you can fall back on, so I don't take it for granted. But then I was always kind of like itching towards hospitality. Like I would always do my 9 to 5, but then I would always bartend at night, just all the time. So then I started bartending more and more in restaurants because the money was like just great. And it was just easy, and that's just where my passion was. And so I worked with Fleming Steakhouse, and I was a trainer for the company. Whenever they would open up a new restaurant, I would go and like train the staff and, teach them all the different recipes and all that good stuff. And so we were set to open up our second restaurant in Vegas. And so as soon as I came down here, it was a good first week. And I told my manager, I'm like, you know what? I think I'm going to move here. He was like, man, what? I'm like, sure, why not? It's Vegas. It's a cool city, right? So literally, like, the next week, I just packed up, and just moved out here. And then the rest is history, I've been here 6.5 years now, going on 7 years in January. It's been dope, man. I love living here. Love living here. The only thing that Vegas needs is a Whataburger. Like, if we had a Whataburger here, man, this would be the perfect place to live.
I see you harping on that all the time on social media. I've never had it. Never had it.
It's so good, man. It's so good, man. It's better than In-N-Out. You know, sorry, all you West Coast people, but I love Whataburger, man. It's good.
Yeah, it's
really
definitely
good.
something I have to put on my list one of these days.
But yeah, man, Vegas has been good to me, man. You know, I mean, obviously right now Houston has a hurricane watch going on. That's one thing I don't like about living down there, you know, because the hurricanes are a little rampant every now and again. But, you know, yeah, Houston's home, man. Houston's cool. Texas is cool, man, in general.
Your story is very similar to a bunch of people who moved out here to Vegas. It's like you go to college and just your degree isn't necessarily related to the industry, but you're more of like a socialite. You've always been gravitated to being around people, communicating with them, and going out and having these experiences. Yeah. And that's ultimately what leads you out to Vegas. And you take one trip down here, and you're like, you know what? This is home.
That's all it takes, man. It's funny because, you know, friends back home, you know, I have engineer friends, I have doctor friends, lawyer friends, things like that. And, you know, everyone's always like, man, Derrick, your life is so cool. Your life is, and it is, you know, I've had some great experiences not following the norm. Not to say that you shouldn't follow the norm, not saying you shouldn't get an education or anything like that, but I think that a person should never have any regrets when it comes to anything in life, you know, and I've always been the type of person to take any opportunity that's thrown at me. You know, if I like it, great. If I don't, I don't. But, you know, I think you should never have any type of regrets and have that, man, I wonder what if kind of aspect in life, you know.
That's always my worst fear. I always, whenever I'm deciding to do something, I think to my deathbed, if I ever die, because I'm trying to live forever.
Yeah.
It's always the things that you didn't do that you look back on rather than the things that you did.
No, absolutely.
Yeah, and if you've done everything that has presented itself that kind of enticed you in a certain way, then you'll pass on to the next world with a much better feeling.
And I mean, I've been telling my siblings that too, you know, because again, I mean, I have a degree in IT. I've worked in IT. You know, I've done a lot of, you know, different projects and things like that. And then just to kind of take a detour and go into hospitality, a lot of people don't understand unless you've worked in hospitality. You know, it's gratifying. It's fun. You know, you meet a lot of great people. You have a lot of fun, a lot of great experiences. And, you know, that's just kind of what my path has led me to, you know.
And when people generally think of hospitality, they think of, you know, working at the front desk. That's kind of like the vision that I have. But once you get out to Vegas, you realize that hospitality means so much more. It's a very, very, very broad term. There is the front desk managers. There's so much stuff that goes on the back of house, the different corporates, the HR department, the quality control, the people who are running the food and beverage. And then you even expand outwards to like the betting industry, the gambling industry, the night and day life industry, the convention industry.
Yeah.
That
especially the conventions here, you know.
That was the biggest heartbreak too, is once they started canceling things like CES and SEMA and all these, people were like, oh crap, this is serious.
I think again, that kind of made it, not to say people didn't believe it, but that made it just a little bit more real. Like, okay, clubs and everything, okay, cool. Okay, festivals, okay. Man, now conventions, like that's Vegas is kind of bread and butter, you know? So,
yeah, that's where we're growing. We're number 2 in the U.S. in conventions. I believe Orlando is 1, but we were set to overtake them. And now it's going to be a backpedal a little bit to see how we revolutionize Vegas beyond that. Because let's be honest, this video conferencing, remote conferencing thing isn't going to translate well to Vegas.
No.
I saw they try
No.
Some of the hotels I saw were offering work from your hotel room in Vegas, where they set up like a kind of an office studio remote where you could go down there and work from your hotel room and then still go experience whatever amenities Vegas has to offer.
Yeah.
But one of the hotels already scrapped that. They're just like, this is not working.
It's just so different, man. It just... And again, I mean, first you got to get people out here first to be able to offer something like that. And I think that's the hard part, getting people here to be able to even capitalize on that. So,
yeah, the party. So tell me, once you came down here, what was your first job outside of, you stayed at Fleming's, obviously.
So I stayed at Fleming's. Fleming's was cool. And then I thought, man, you know, I really want to move into management, you know. But then because I was at Fleming's and I trained a lot of the staff, my manager at the time was like, well, Derrick, you know, you can't be a manager because, you know, you're too much friendly with the staff. You know, they probably wouldn't see you in a managerial light. And I'm like, no, they will, you know. So we went back and forth. So I was only literally at Fleming's for 4 months. And then I went to MGM. I was like, you know what? You know, let's just find someone that does want me. So went to MGM. I was a beverage manager. And then that was cool. I worked on graveyards. So I worked at MGM right at the beginning when Hakkasan just opened. So MGM was just always busy, always had people there. Yeah. Like that part of the casino was always just busy with people Thursday through Sunday, And again, I was there for about a year and a half or so. I want to move up. And the thing about MGM is great. MGM will give you an opportunity, but because MGM is so big and has so many properties, whenever there's a position open, there's so many people that apply for that one position. So there may be a position open at MGM, but there's someone at New York, who's been vetted their time that they may bring over. Or there may be a position open at Mirage that, okay, so we move this person to MGM, but let's move him back to Mirage to take this position. So it's really, really hard to move up. So then I went from MGM to Cosmo. I worked at the pool there. It was amazing. It was my first pool job. Again, Cosmo's a small hotel, so I figured, okay, it's only Cosmo, so when it's time to move up, they'll just look at me and just move us up, things like that. So I worked one pool season, and then after the pools closed, they moved me inside to the restaurants. And again, restaurants were cool. I worked quick service. I worked pizzeria. We opened Egg Slut and Starbucks, and then we also had Va Bene. So I was over 4 different restaurants there. A really, really cool experience. And then from there, I went to a house party, and I met Dylan Close. Were you ever at Omnia?
Yeah, I remember good old Dylan. That was a homie.
Dylan's brother worked with me at Cosmo Pool. And he always talked to me. He was like, you should work in the nightclub. My brother works in the nightclub. He loves it. I'm like, man, I don't know about nightclubs. Nightclubs are stupid, it's too late. It's just, whatever. And so his brother had a birthday party, and I went there. And then I literally talked to Dylan the whole night. He was telling me about Omnia and Hakkasan Group and how much he loved it. And it was just crazy. He just really changed my perception on nightclub management, So then he was like, hey, shoot me your resume. I'll shoot it up above, And literally, I gave my resume. I interviewed with Ray in Orlando. And then literally December 2016 is when I started with the company, And it's been great, man. I started with, I did New Year's Eve at Bank. We had Bruno Mars perform. And then after that, I kind of bounced around till the pool opened because I was hired for Bear Pool. So I worked at all the different nightclubs until the pool opened. I worked at Bear, and then halfway through they moved me to Hakkasan. After a year at Hakkasan, they moved me to Jewel. After a year at Jewel, they moved me to Wet Republic.
Then you've literally covered it all. Didn't you even travel down to Los Cabos, right?
Yeah, so they were opening up Cabo, and literally a week before they went, Ray was like, hey, Erv. I'm like, what's up? He goes, hey, do you want to go help open Cabo? I'm like, yes, So me and John Yalda, we went down there and helped opened it. And then a few weeks after that, he was like, hey, we need someone just to go down there and help during spring break. Do you want to do it? I'm like, yes, So I went down there the rest of the month of March. And then in December, he said, hey, we need someone to just kind of help with the first New Year's Eve. Do you want to go do it? I'm like, yes. So I went down there for the whole month of December. And then I skipped that next year because I went to Wet Republic. Then the year after that, which was this past March, I went down there, and that's when I had to come back because of all that was going on.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah,
man,
it's been dope, man.
Yeah, I know there's definitely dozens and dozens of stories with these different clubs, which we'll get into. But isn't there's such this weird feeling where it's fascination. I don't know what the exact word is, where you go out. And I'm sure before you worked for Hakkasan Group, you went to Hakkasan and a few of their other clubs. You're in there partying. I was the same. I was at Hakkasan opening weekend, partying for Hardwell. And now we're both on the other end, and you get to see it. And when you're first there, the club and just how it's just portrayed all over the world, it's just Vegas has the best nightclubs.
Yeah.
And you see people when you're in there for the first time just popping bottles and going crazy. And you're like, dude, this is the greatest thing I have ever seen in my life. And then you finally get hired and you're like, wow, I'm in the big leagues now.
Yeah.
Finally get to make it.
Because Steve Aoki is my favorite DJ. So literally whenever I was either at Hakkasan or at Jewel, it kind of stopped when I was at Wet Republic because I was too busy. But at Hakkasan at Jewel, whenever he would perform, I would literally stand up in the balcony and kind of turn my radio down a little bit.
You had to get in there. You got to enjoy it.
And like I said, it didn't happen at Wet because we were too busy at Wet, because there's fewer managers, but literally at Hakkasan, there's 5 of us. So I would literally be upstairs and like turn my radio down just a little bit, and like for the first maybe like 20 or 30 minutes of his set, just be up there and just like, man, like I work here. This is so dope. It was a good time. It's a good time working in nightclubs.
I still find that even at Omnia, sometimes when you're standing there, the table's having fun, and I'm just looking up, just watching this multi-million-dollar chandelier do these crazy things.
Chandelier is so sick, dude.
And I'm like, there's no way that this is a real job, and we're doing it. It's almost at times you take granted for what you actually have, especially during this pandemic. I think a lot of people have started to realize how nice working in these quote unquote non-traditional jobs.
Yeah.
When people always say, go get a real job.
Holmes, if it pays me real money, it's
a
real job. It's so funny that people say that. People, and even before I moved here, again, I have my degree and I've always bartended. People are always like, Derrick, go get a real job. I'm like, this pays me real money. And like, I honestly probably make more money, bartending than some of my friends do who work in the office, and that's just what motivates me.
Yeah, especially if you're just somebody who's naturally energized by being around people.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where the real bread and butter comes from, is networking. That's how you ended up at the nightclub, was going out and doing things and having that 2-hour conversation with Dylan, who ends up getting you the job.
We literally talk like it's a birthday party, and he and I talked like the whole night, which was really cool because he really changed my perception, not only of the industry, but introduced me to Hakkasan, which was a great company for me these past 3.5 years, So
yeah, Vegas, it's almost like a miniature Washington, D.C. in the political scape.
Mm-hmm.
But this is more entertainment. But there is politicking that has to go on, and networking, or however you want to, whatever you want to call it, to justify your means.
Yeah, of course.
But I think that's what's fun about it. It's it's like playing a real life game of The Sims.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You have to go out there and build these relationships.
Yeah.
Obviously, you don't want to overdo yourself, which some people end up getting caught in the vicious Vegas cycle, which is something that, I think everyone ends up happening at some point, but you have to realize that you have to pull yourself out of it and be like, all right, I still have to live here and still have to actually perform a job and make these companies money,
Because I think that too, again, with relationships, I mean, getting the job, I think a lot of people do get the job because of a relationship. I'm not going to lie. I think a lot of people are like, okay, you're a friend of such and such, I'm going to gift you the job. Or, a such and such referred you, I'm going to give you the job. But keeping the job is definitely up to you. I don't think you can keep the job or, get promoted because of who you know. Yes, it does suck for sometimes people who don't know anyone, they don't get those opportunities. But again, if the person who was gifted the opportunity doesn't perform well, they're not going to keep it, and then that's going to open the opportunity for someone else.
Especially in a pool job or a summer job where you have to reapply every year.
Yeah.
They may keep you 1 year because of saving good faith with whoever recommended you. But the next year, they're going
to boot you out, man.
You didn't perform. And you see a lot of overturn with managers and different positions within hospitality
because of that.
It's a tough job to perform. So once you got into Omnia and Hakkasan Group, what do you think was the toughest hurdle in the beginning that you weren't expecting?
I think the hardest part at the beginning was the amount of staff that every place had. Because again, I started out at Bear, and Bear, there's probably maybe 30 entire staff, and that's like front and back of house, So that wasn't as intimidating. But then, you walk into Hakkasan, and the first day, Losa's like, hey, everyone, this is Derrick. He's the new manager. And the cocktail server department alone is, just as much as my entire staff at Bear. So, it's like, oh, crap. So that was the most intimidating part, because not only you have the servers, the runners, the bar, like it's just a massive amount of people everywhere, So that was just the most challenging, because I've always been good with people. People have always liked me. I always know how to talk to people. So that never was an issue. It was an issue of now I have a staff not even not even a staff, like the entire room is conclusive to like almost 300 people, and there's only 5 managers. Like that's pretty intimidating, you know.
It's tough, yeah. That's why I always told people or told new employees, I'm like, as long as you remember my face, that's okay, because I know it's very intimidating, especially coming into nightlife and day life where everyone's supermodels. That was probably the biggest hurdle that I had, was intimidation from you know, just people being you know, very physically attractive, and like how to communicate with different people. There's different egos. Most of the people are really cool, but it's like almost an internal conflict as well. And obviously after a year or two, or however long it takes, it
gets easy.
It gets easy. You learn that everyone's actually the same inside. But it's like seeing all these different influencers or whatever the case is, I was just like, oh my God, I'm 22 and I'm working with world-class models and superstars. I was like, how am I ever gonna make this?
And then everyone on my end too, everyone looks alike a little bit, you know. Everyone has the same uniform, everyone has the same shoe, everyone has the same haircut, everyone has the same skin complexion. Like everyone looks like, so it's hard to separate, you know, this Tiffany from that Tiffany, or this John from that John. Like that part's hard too. Like especially learning everyone's name took a long time. And then as soon as I got comfortable and knew everyone's name, I moved to another venue. You know, and then I had to start all over, you know. So, but it's cool, man. I mean, it's just something that you just get used to and just kind of get over that hurdle. And you know, again, once you get that comfort level, you know, it's just smooth sailing. It is.
And as a operations manager within the industry, what would you say are just the everyday normal activities that you have to do, and what is something that maybe people overlook that managers have to do that's oftentimes kind of trialing?
I mean, on a daily basis, I mean, obviously scheduling, you know, making sure you have enough staff, you know, available for the night. And one thing that is different is being able to juggle 2 phones, you know, because obviously you have your personal phone that's for, you know, personal use, and now you have a work phone that, again, you have a staff of like 50 new people for any reason, like hitting you up, like either calling out or telling you this or telling you that, or hey, can I do this? Or hey, is this uniform allowed? Or hey, who's this DJ? And things like that. So having to juggle 2 phones, and then especially during a time when, you know, you're busy too. So we would get the majority of our phone calls or conversations with staff during the time we're trying to get ready for work. So, you know, having to like, you know, take a shower, and then I can get down to the shower, I'm like, okay, I know I'm gonna have like X amount of missed calls, you know, but then I gotta like schedule it just right, you know, because now I gotta do no times at the same time, and then, okay, I'm accepting no times, but then I'm driving to work, you know, and that's kind of illegal, you know, because I don't want to get into an accident or get a ticket, you know, so kind of juggling 2 phones with having, you know, 50 new people, you being the sole source of the work environment for them, you know, that can be a little tough, but, you know, I did it, you know, and it's, you know, it's doable.
Yeah, so there's a massive learning curve in the beginning of just becoming adapted, and no times are, for people who are listening, no times are different from what call outs are. No times, and also I think having to deal with the culinary union's tough as well, because the culinary union is one of the most powerful unions across, I think, the United States.
Yeah,
and
probably one of the biggest too.
Yeah, and they're very strict with what goes, and there's intermediaries and shop stewards, and so no times was like, it's like a process where you basically can give up your shift if the staff allocation allows it to a sort. So the managers have to go through like more hurdles to like, okay, do we have the staffing levels? Can we approve these? Can we not? And then some of the guys are just like, you know what, I'll throw no time in first, and then if they say no, I'm just gonna say fuck it and call out anyways. So I'm sure in the back of your mind you're like, oh my God, this might happen anyways.
And, you know, and those weren't really too bad. Again, like, I mean, the majority of my venues I worked at, I've worked with the servers, and the servers are great. You know, again, it's just more so timing it. You know, that's just the most important thing, because again, it's trying to do all of that while you're getting ready for work, while you're trying to grab something to eat, while you're parking, while you're basically getting ready for work, you know. And again, you guys probably have maybe a few more hours to get ready than we do, you know, but the time frame to start that process is when we're getting ready for work, you know. So that was just kind of the biggest juggle, you know. But I mean, again, it wasn't hard, you know. And trust me, servers aren't shy when it comes to like, I learned so much from servers in every venue that I've worked at, you know, because again, whether or not I'm a guy or not, they are not shy with telling me X, Y, and Z, or what they need, or, you know, what's supposed to happen and things like that, you know. But again, it develops that relationship, you know.
It is. It goes back to the relationship building. And now for the fun part is once you're in the building and once the nightclub opens, this is where the managers are all over the fucking place. You know, they're putting out fires at a table because I guess card is crazy or there was like some sort of fight or the bartenders are waving over people because they see something suspicious.
Yeah.
Or God knows there's something that happens in the VIP line with some sort of guest. So you guys are really like the Swiss Army knife. You're all over the place.
Just everywhere,
putting out all kinds of different fires.
You know, and I would say probably the first. Let me see. We probably open up around like 10:30 or so. The first hour is probably the most important because that's when a lot of your tables are coming in. So, you know, you're trying to get your tables ready, you're trying to get product ready, you're making sure you have the right staff in the right places. You know, you want to make sure that the front is operating accordingly. You know, lines are moving. You want to make sure your cashiers are in place. You know, you kind of do a circle, you know, just do, you know, and it becomes routine after a while and you kind of know what to look for, you know, but again, it does take a learning curve at the beginning, but, you know, what else, you know, you're making sure everyone showed up for their shift, you know, because again, you have so many, you know, that can get overlooked sometimes. You're making sure you have all your tools, you know, our swipe cards, our flashlights, our pens, and things like that. You're making sure your radio's working. Did you charge it the night before? Man, crap, I didn't charge it, so now I got to go get it, you know, another battery. You know, just the first hour is probably the most. But then after that, once everything gets rocking, you know, people are having a good time. It just more so just replenish, you know, and that's it. It's easy.
I'd say about 12 o'clock to 12:30 is really when you start seeing everyone showing up in full force. And then the DJ typically comes on around 1 or 1:30, depending on who's spinning, whatever the DJ time preferences and everything like that.
I got time to go get a snack. You know, I can go to the bathroom by that time. You know, it's easy by that time. It's so much easier, you know.
What's it like as a manager dealing with head of table or guest relations at tables? Because I know there's been times where I've had to bring Derrick over because there's so many things that go into somebody who has a table. You have to have their ego in play. You have to have whatever their preference is. And so I bring Derrick over and they have to pull him over to the side and you see Derrick talking to him for about 10 minutes and has to relieve this situation.
Yeah.
What's that like from a manager's perspective?
I mean, it just depends. I mean, I would say it depends on how big of an issue the guest wants to make it. You know, if it's something as little as like, hey, you know, we're supposed to get this bottle and that bottle, you know, I'm all about pacifying their ego. Hey, here it is. You know, if I need to take care of it, I will. You know, it's just not that big of a deal to make such a big mess out of it. If it's a situation where they're not supposed to have this table versus another table, then, you know, obviously I'll get assistance from a host to try to kind of help, you know, make sure that, you know, they're happy on that end. But it just depends on how big, if it's an issue of payment, you know, that becomes a little more of a challenge, you know, because obviously you never want to tell someone that their card didn't go through, especially if they don't know that it did. And one thing about a lot of people don't know when it comes to traveling, you know, I do this even if I go to California. I always let my bank know, like, hey, I'm going to California for this day and this day. They're like, oh, Mr. Ervin, you don't have to let us know. I'm like, sometimes you do, you know, just because sometimes banks are so tricky when it comes to where payments are being processed at, you know. So a lot of people before they come to Vegas don't let their banks know. So yeah, your card may have worked at dinner a few hours ago, but now you're trying to make this like $5,000 purchase, $10,000 purchase, and it's going to decline because your bank's going to look at it sometimes as fraud, you know. So trying to explain to people that aspect, you know, they don't want to hear that. They're just ready to have fun. And, you know, payment is always the hardest one, you know, that you just got to be so sensitive with, you know, bring them in the back and again, try to not talk to them like an idiot, but kind of talk to them like an idiot because, again, they may have already been drinking, so I got to pacify them just a little bit.
You have to dumb it down a little bit.
Yeah, payment is always going to be an issue, because people just don't understand. But I just used it at dinner, blah, blah, blah. Again, sir, I get that. I just used it at the pool. Again, I get that. But we're not at the pool. We're at the nightclub, and, now we have this issue, so maybe there's someone else in your group that can take care of it right now, and you call your bank later, and X, Y, and Z. It's just hard to walk them through the steps when it comes to trying to get payment. And again, it's not an issue of whether or not they have it or not. It's just an issue that their bank is now putting a hold on it because of whatever process before didn't take place.
Yeah, it's a really big pain in the ass. And as I see it as a buster, sometimes I cringe because I'm like, I know it's gonna kill the mood, even though you don't want it to, because people are drinking and their emotions become amplified. So now their anger is just amplified more. And then the rest of the party's waiting around for their bottle.
They think it's your fault. They're like, I just want to party. I'm like, dude, you can't. Just, not right now.
Yeah, sorry, guys. But something that always happens at nightclubs, man, is it's aggression. I don't know why. I don't know why it is. People get mad. Maybe it's just because of too much alcohol or whatever the case is. Just in my experience,
people are happier partying at the pool than they are at the nightclub. Yes. I think at the nightclub, there's just a lot of like, for example, like girls have to get dressed up, so there's a comfort level in the clothes that you wear. Guys, you're wearing like jewelry and like all this, so now it's just. You're freer at the pool, Then at the pool too, you have the opportunity to eat, So, you may be turned up at the beginning, but then, shove some food in them. So now you have that manner of now you're getting a little tired. Whereas at the nightclub, you may come in at 1 o'clock in the morning, and you're ready to rage, but then the nightclub may close at like 3 o'clock. So now you've only had like 2.5 hours to party. And so it's like you're not ready to stop. You're ready to keep going. Whereas at the pool, you may have been there for like 6-7 hours, and things like that. So I think people are just happier partying at the pool because you have more time, you have food, it's daylight, so you have your vitamin D, and things like that. But yeah, man, people are a little more aggressive when it comes to the nightclub, dude. And I don't know. It's just
that's
I don't know.
That's an experience I've felt as well too. I worked at Planet Hollywood Pool for 5 years before I went over to Omnia, and I always said that people are way happier there too. One thing that happens is a lot of people that I've noticed end up getting dragged out to the nightclub when they don't want to.
Yeah.
After they've been partying the rest of the day, their friends are like, "Come on, let's go to the club, man. Let's go to the club." Like,
or they feel they have to. They feel like, okay, I'm in Vegas, so I got to hit every pool every day, every nightclub every night, and like just get my day's worth of Vegas, People don't know how to spread it out.
Yeah, especially too with the nightclubs, Omnia, Hakkasan, XS. They have these world-class DJs and performers. So everyone's like, I have to see Calvin. This is the only time I could see him.
Yeah, that's true.
Tiesto, Steve Aoki throws a crazy-ass party. All these different DJs.
Yeah.
And it's hard to see them because now there's exclusivity residency contracts that you won't see them anywhere else. I remember Calvin signed a exclusive contract to Hakkasan Nightclub for like an entire year, or Hakkasan Group. So you literally couldn't see him outside of the Las Vegas Strip.
Yeah. Unless you go like international see him, and a lot of people aren't going to do that, or don't have the opportunity to do that. So, but yeah, I mean, we do have the best DJs here, and you do have to kind of get them when you can, but.
People make a full ass event for Omnia. You see like everything online and just like how glorified it is.
And then even like the way we do it, as a company, you can like buy tickets to now where you go to the pool this day that guarantees you into the nightclub on this day, and it just kind of completes your entire party planning, where you don't have to do too much, and that's kind of cool.
Yeah, I think that's a little bit of an advantage what Hakkasan Group has over XS is that XS gets to keep everything in-house. The hotel controls the clubs.
Yeah.
So they get to offer amenities as far as like, oh, you got a table at XS, we'll comp you the suite.
Yeah.
And we'll give you dinner. But the Hakkasan Group's like, oh, you can come over to these different properties, Jewel, Hakkasan, White Republic, and the various bars that were sprinkled in there, and now you could kind of experience the whole strip instead of being stuck kind of towards the north end.
Which is cool, because again, and then it gives you the opportunity Maybe, Jewel offers more of a hip hop, so you can get that. Whereas Omnia has more of a production value, and then you get Wet Republic, and then you may want to go to Liquid for something a little more chill. Like you have just so many options within the brand to go to, which is cool.
So let's flip it to the daytime. What's it like as a manager running the infamous and worldwide, I guess, famous Wet Republic?
Dude, Wet Republic is phenomenal, dude. Like it's bananas how awesome that place is. And it's funny because, you go to work and you see it, empty with no people. And it's like, man, in a couple of hours, I'm not going to be able to walk through here, and people lose their minds there, just how as small of a place that it is, the way the energy builds off of each other, it's just, and it's one of the cool thing about Wet Republic is too, like there's no bad seat. Like no matter where you are in the venue, you have a clear shot of the DJ. And sometimes at the nightclubs, you don't have that, Sometimes in nightclubs, you have to have a table or you have to be on stage or you have to be in the DJ booth to be able to see the DJ. Whereas at Wet Republic, you can have, you can be in Daybed Island, you could be in the bungalows, you could be cabanas, you can be, in the far end and still be able to see the DJ and still be able to experience, the party. And I think that's what makes it great too for anyone that walks through the door, just being able to feed off of the DJ and have a clear shot and be able to truly experience that, which is really, really cool.
The day club bungalows too, they have TVs in it as well, so you can see the DJ DJing, which everyone likes to do because the focus is on him. He's the superstar, and you get to hide out in the shade and order your freaking sushi boat or whatever crazy food options there are.
Man, and then again, like I said, people just love the daytime. I think Vegas, I think the day club has kind of not so much surpassed, but has been more of an attraction on an equal level as the nightclub. Like I think a lot of people come to Vegas now because of the pool parties, and like each pool party has something to offer, whether it's Wet Republic or whether it's Liquid, whether it's Success, whether it's Marquee, like each one has something in its own right to be able to offer a great party experience that's going to bring anyone out to Vegas for.
I have to say I favor pool parties more than anything.
Pool parties are dope, man. They're fun, dude. And again, you got people running around, in bikinis and like it's sunlight. It's just fun, man. It's just fun.
I've been going to EBC like religiously since I turned 21. So that's my favorite spot. And the benefit too of being a local is that you always get treated pretty fairly, like wherever you go. That's one of the benefits too, which is why some people in Vegas, we end up becoming spoiled a little bit.
Yeah, we get in free on certain days. I remember, even in Houston, I used to be in the industry, so I would get in free a lot of places, but like a lot of places, like in Houston or Austin, just because you live in that city, they don't let you in for free. Whereas in Vegas, if you're a local, there's certain nights. You can even get in free on a Saturday or Sunday, depending on where you go, Friday or Saturday. But they cater to locals. They like the fact that locals come and party there. It's like that. It's dope. It's really cool.
Yeah. I know you like to go out and have your fun drinks and share it with everyone. What is it about the Las Vegas industry in general and the community that's so enticing to go out all the time and experience it with all of your coworkers and friends?
I just like meeting people. I just like meeting people. I just think that now one thing I don't like to do is when it's a holiday weekend, I do try to stay in, just because it's too many people, like Labor Days and Memorial Day weekends, friends come in town and they want to go out, and I may do like one night with them, but I won't do like the whole weekend with them because there's just too many people out and it's just too much of a traffic jam anywhere and things like that. And obviously, table minimum is going to be a little more, expedited, which is fine, because you want to make your money. But I just don't like going out during holiday weekends. I always tell my friends to come out during the week.
Yes.
I tell them, come out during the week. You'll still have the same experience on the weekend. I'll be able to go out with you more during the week, because I'm not working on the weekends and things like that, and we'll just have a good time on the weekend. I just tell all my friends come out during the week, and a lot of people do. A lot of people do come out during the week.
I've definitely been to the nightclub probably 10x more times Monday through Thursday than I have Friday through Saturday.
1,000%. And then it's hard too. It's hard, you go to work, especially at the pool. You work all day during the day, sun's, kicking your butt, and, you're drinking like just all this water and things like that. And by the time you get off of work, you're like drained. And then friends want, hey, let's go here, let's go there. I'm like, no, dude, I got to go to bed. It's like 8 o'clock at night. And they're like, what? I'm like, yeah, I'm about to go to bed, dude. I've been working all day. Some people don't understand that. Like I said, sometimes I'll do it one time out the blue, but other than that, I'll give you a Sunday, I'll give you a Thursday, but a Friday and Saturday, dude, I got to go to bed.
I think Sunday is always like the industry day club night day. At least that's where I've always gone out, is Sundays.
Sundays are fun too, man. A lot of people are off on Mondays, or if you have to go to work Monday, it's a chill day. You don't have to be, you don't have to work the same way that you would do on a Saturday. The level of service is the same, of course, but you don't have to worry about that many men's or that many tables or that many guests. It's more of a relax, and it's kind of the end of your work week too.
And any opportunity for night swim is always a yes.
Night swim is dope, man.
I think night swim is probably my favorite. I think that reigns supreme because people are a little bit more relaxed. It's a combination that you don't necessarily have to wear that dress, or you don't have to go out and wear those nice shoes that you want to ruin. You could go in beach shorts, and the clubs are just packed. But it's fun because people could jump in the pool, whether it depends on your sanitary precautions.
Right.
Probably a little safer during the day, and then later once it's about 2 or 3 and there's been thousands of people in there and who knows what else is going on.
The weather's nice too, man. A nice little breeze, and it's just fun, man. Night swims are a good idea. Whoever did the first one or came up with it, it definitely was smart to do.
It's the pool parties. Mm-hmm. Do you have any idea of what's next for nightclubs? Do you have any personal beliefs of where you see the trajectory of the nightlife and day life going?
I just think I definitely think they'll eventually come back. I just think that it's just a matter of when. Do I think they're going to come back in 2021? If I had to say it looking at it today, August 26th, I would say no. But again, March 17th, who would have thought that, pools would have opened, when they did in June, or things like that. So it's just hard to say, man. Again, I just think that whatever is next is a matter of when. And I think what we have to do now is just kind of work within what to do until they open.
Yeah, I think they're probably, from what I would predict, is that they're going to have to scale it with a limit. So right now it's just tables, and then maybe they'll do tables and 500 guests.
Yeah.
And then maybe 1,000, which actually for the guest experience might be
good.
Yeah, it might not be too bad, because there's nights where it's tough to move, especially being a busser, where I have to carry a bucket of ice and juice and everything above my head for 10 minutes because I can't get through the crowd. I'm like, I'm about to drop this. This is going to be terrible.
I was 2 weeks ago, I was in LA, and it was funny because, the hotel we stayed at, we hung out at the pool, and it was a good time, things like that. And then we went out to a couple restaurants for dinner, and it was my first time being in LA during all this, and it just wasn't the LA that I was ever used to. It was an adjustment. Obviously everyone had on masks, but all the restaurants we went to, we went to Catch for drinks, and it was just different. Catch is normally buzzing. There's normally a line out the door, there's a line downstairs, and it was just you didn't have that. Everyone was civilized in a sense. And then we went to Las Palmas, and had dinner there, and again it was cool. And normally Las Palmas, it has a line out the door, and it was just different to see that experience, and that's just LA, So again, I just think that once nightclubs do open, whether or not, like you said, GA is limited or not, it's just gonna be different. I haven't been to any nightclubs since this has all happened here. Not even back home in Houston, or anything like that. So I'm not sure how the nightclub setting is, but I've been to pools, and pools are, again, they're following all the guidelines, and again, it's just a different way to party. And I just think that's going to, again, the next step, just how can we do a different way to party, in order for the nightclubs to reopen, because again, I don't think they're going to be able to open, hey, Excess, hey, Omnia, you guys are open right now, I don't think it's going to be like that. It's going to be gradual.
Yeah,
You know?
or maybe limit it to like, okay, you have just Omnia and Excess open Friday, and then the next day it's like, okay, Marquee and Hakkasan gets theirs. Maybe because you're going to scale it with the capacity of what's going on in the strip. Because I think the hotels are still at 50%.
Yeah, they're still limiting their capacity, and then even with now that more hotels are opening, I think they're upping their capacity. But again, I don't think no one's close to, I think that 80% mark. I don't know. You know,
man, it just hurts because this year was money 2020. That's what we called it. That's what the busters. That's what we deemed it. We were like, we have the draft coming here.
Yeah, man.
We have the Raiders coming. The Knights are killing it.
Yeah.
It sucks that there's going to be no people in the Raiders Stadium.
Where Republic got their, renovation, that was dope. And, a lot of my friends are getting their, Raiders season tickets now, and it's kind of bittersweet a little bit, dude. I mean, but again, I think that it's going to give us optimism for 2021, hopefully, or again, they're not going to build a stadium to its capacity's magnitude for nothing. I just think that's just a matter of when, hopefully soon, but just when.
Yeah, we just want to fast forward this already. But it has been an introspective time for everybody. I've seen a lot of people go on and build different things. I started this podcast. Yep. I've seen people
Kudos to you.
Appreciate it. I was going to start it in May, but think about it now, like operating it or starting it out while working at a nightclub would have been very difficult. So it was almost like a blessing in disguise for myself. I've seen other people go on and start different businesses and different loopholes. What have you been doing to fill your time over the last 5 months?
Dude, honestly, I've been just not to say kind of waiting, but kind of just waiting. In a sense that I don't want to in a sense make any haste decisions. There's nothing that's burning in me that I want to start. So I'm kind of happy where I am. One thing I have been doing, I've been sending out like birthday cards, which it sounds kind of like cheesy, but like I think people have gone away from that. Like we'll do a Facebook post or we'll do like a text message, but like over the summer, like friends back home, I'll like mail them a birthday card, just like, hey, happy birthday, and it's just kind of cool to get that back.
It's very genuine.
For Mother's Day, a bunch of my friends around the city and even back home, I sent them Mother's Day cards. They were like so appreciative of that. Kind of things like that. I started growing plants. Which is
okay.
Nothing like that. Nothing too extreme. But like a friend of mine bought me a plant, so I was like, hey, this is kind of cool. So like being able to like tend to it, has been just kind of rewarding,
hobby.
Yeah.
So when we call you Derrick, was that horticulturalist?
So that's been kind of cool, I plant seeded for a friend of mine while she went out of town, and again, she gave me 3 plants. I killed one of them, but I think that I just didn't know how to. I think we both didn't know how to tend to it because it was a tomato plant. But come to find out that I did kill that one, but the other 2 thrived, which is kind of cool. So, picked up doing that, that's kind of cool. And, like just building around my house and, just getting things in order. I donated a bunch of clothes, checked on family more so than I probably would, because of work and things like that. So a lot of like internal stuff, doing things like that during all this.
In a time of questionable future, it's good to maintain relationships. That sounds like something you've been doing.
Absolutely.
Always being a socialite. I like that you've gone the birthday card route and sending physical cards because now that everything's becoming digitized, people need that touch.
Yeah.
That's what brings closeness. Like,
it does.
The podcast that I do over Zoom, it's not the same as in person. You don't get to read those body cues or just kind of like people that you can see through people's body language that they want you to like acknowledge a certain conversation, a certain topic. A birthday card, it's like, I acknowledge you definitely. I went out of my time. I spent more time through the process. I went and got stamps and I went and got the birthday card, wrote the personal message. I took time to figure out what birthday card actually suits you because God knows you go down Walgreens or Walmart, birthday card aisle.
Yeah.
There's thousands of cards.
And the funny thing is, again, because I don't really mail cards, I didn't know that it takes 2 stamps to mail a card now. So again, like, I mean, just learning stuff like that, I'm like, man, I mean, 2 stamps? And the lady was like, yeah, it takes 2. I'm like, okay, interesting, you know, but whatever, you know. But I mean, but it's been cool because everyone that has received a card is all like, oh my God, this is so cool. Like, thank you so much for thinking about it. Like, I mean, it just adds an extra touch of personability to that.
Yeah, I personally keep most of the birthday cards that
I
are
do
sent
too.
to me.
I do too. You know, and again, I haven't had a card. I got a few cards this year for my birthday, but I hadn't had cards for like forever, man. You know, just because again, people just don't send cards anymore.
Just comment on Facebook, happy birthday,
and that's it. You know, maybe a text, maybe a call. You know, but like sending a card, you know, and then you write a message in it. You know. It's a nice touch. It's a really cool touch.
It's a great way for creative expression. That's kind of where the futures is gravitating towards with automation and AI and different things. They're talking about all these different jobs that are going to be displaced. You know, like the semi truck driver. You even seen like a robot bartender at what was that called? Tipsy Up Down Bar or some shit like that.
And even like at MGM, you know, a lot of the service bars are replaced with like, you know, the robots and things like that, you know. So
and the front desk, I've seen they're putting kiosks at some of the front desks.
Yeah.
People
to eliminate.
We're going to be forced to be creative and express ourselves, and to now that everyone's habits have been broken, this is the time to look in and find out where your future is going, how you're going to express yourself, because that's where life's going to dictate. Who knows where the strip is 10 years from now? There could be, maybe it takes some weird artistic twist now. And there's like all these like galleries and interactive art exhibits. You kind of would just like put yourself there. Or maybe we can open Derrick's garden up in there. Right out in the backyard, you know, just come get your full interactive experience.
I have one plant, but it is growing really, really well. Like I'm just surprised because I've never been a plant guy. I've never had plants or anything like that. But it's just kind of cool, you know, having that routine and making sure it's watered and make sure it's fed and things like that. It's kind of cool to see it grow, you know. It's really, really cool.
So are you a morning riser now too?
I am, you know. Again, you know, I mean, I still sleep pretty late at night, but again, you know, I'll get up in the morning, you know, and like start my day, you know, and make sure my family's okay back home, you know, obviously check social media and things like that. But then, you know, I'm up 8, 9 in the morning.
Yeah,
you know?
I've seen this weird dramatic twist, whereas a lot of the people who worked graveyard shift are now waking up super early. I get up generally around like 6:37.
Yeah,
and all my friends who were previously working mornings are now sleeping until like noon.
Yeah, like I mean, I'm up and like I'm up with the sun and sometimes I'm in bed even, you know, sometimes by midnight. You know, I may be just watching TV or everything like that, but like I'm in bed, whereas I used to be just not going out, you know, around that time. You know.
It's very satisfying. I think our bodies are just craving it, and even our mental aptitude as well. Last night I went to bed at like 10:30. I was in bed by like 8.
and again, I've never really. I mean, I used to get a lot of sleep on my days off, because I would still have work to do. But then, I'm now on a consistent level. I'm getting like 8, 9 hours of sleep at night.
Yes,
easily. You know,
that's something that goes often not spoken about is the insomnia that comes with graveyard shifts.
Yeah,
I've tried like just the broken sleep patterns.
It's hard to sleep during the day.
It's detrimental on your body. You know, it's like even if you try to convince yourself that you feel good, you kind of like start getting that like fizzle out effect. And that's why a lot of people end up drinking coffee or Red Bulls right before their shift, which is definitely not good for you.
Yeah.
And I used to do that for a long time, but then I started to limit myself to like, all right, like 1 or 2 o'clock is like the last for energy drinks, or I'm going to be up all fucking
night. So you
night.
can just get that just boost of energy, you know. And even now, like I'm not really a coffee drinker, but I'll go and get a coffee every now and again, but I don't need it every day, you know, because again, it's just I'm naturally up now. I have natural energy and just able to kind of get through the day with no issues, you know.
Isn't that nice? I drink.
It's nice.
Drink so much coffee.
Really? I don't. I mean, I like Dutch Bros. You know, like they have the Annihilator. It's just it's so retarded. It's so good, man. You know, but I don't need it every day. Whereas, you know, whenever I worked at a nightclub, maybe I would go to Starbucks and get a shot of espresso, maybe before every shift, or drink I used to drink a lot of Red Bull. I rarely drink Red Bull now. Like rarely drink Red Bull now because I don't need to. You know.
It's so bad on you.
Yeah.
I got really turned away from it when one of my friends almost died from it when I was freshman in college. He was drinking like 3 Monsters a day. I know it's a little bit of an overdoing, but he ended up getting a lacerated kidney and it ended up like going straight to his liver. He had to go to the hospital. He was like peeing blood. Yeah. So I kind of like use that as like a emotional PTSD. Anytime I touch on it, I'm like, oh my God, this is literally just bleeding right through me. So I try to stick just to coffee. But there are times though that I do drink Red Bull, and actually I do drink Red Bulls when I was going to the day club. And man, talk about energy. I feel like I just hit a few lines or something. Right when I drink that Red Bull, and it's been like 6 months. I'm like, man, that felt great.
Have you been to any pools or anything since this is gone down?
I've been to GVR a few times.
Okay.
I went to.
I like GVR, man.
I like GVR. I went to Red Rock and visited our boy Yalda and Diana that's out there.
Red Rock's the new club, man.
Dude, I went there on a Tuesday.
I'm telling you,
it was packed. And Diana's one of the managers. She was a manager at Omnia with me. She was like, "Oh, this is slow."
Yeah.
I was like, "What?" Like every seat was taken, every cabana was taken.
Yeah.
I was like, wow. I think it's because all the locals are just gravitating to the local hotels. I'm sure M is probably the same. GVR was pretty busy a few times that I've gone there too. But I don't know that many friends that have actually like traveled down to the Strip. Maybe it's because there's no comp tables and things like that kind of gravitate.
And then a lot of people, like you said, do live towards the local casinos. I know M has been pretty busy. I have a friend who bartends there. He's been like, steady. And then just because, Red Rock, dude, Red Rock has been I've been to Red Rock probably maybe just a handful of times, but every time I've gone, I've been on a Monday before, and it's just, I'm like, this is Monday. This is like crazy, and it's been good. I've ran into people, and it's cool. It's fun.
I was like, man, dude, I might have to come here next summer.
It was a lot, and then a lot of people that we know work there, which is cool. So you run into a few people. It's dope, man. And then like a lot of the DJs that would either DJ in Heart or Liquid, they are there on the weekends. So that's kind of cool. It's cool, man. It's a dope. It has turned into a dope spot. And it probably was already like that, but we were just so fascinated on the Strip. But Red Rock has been very, very cool this summer. Something
that I really like that's happened in this pandemic is just like how close the community has kind of banded together. In Vegas more specifically. And it's not even just like the industry jobs, but like I had Stretch Sanders on here who set up the BLM protest, the peaceful 6,000 person one, and how they came together on the Strip, and they had like Vegas was just very peaceful protests. There was no real crazy riots. I think like one store may have been vandalized, but nothing like crazy.
Nothing too crazy.
Yeah, nothing too outlandish that you see like all across the world.
Yeah.
And people I just see constant posts of local restaurants and people talking about, oh, go support. Like this business may be on the verge of closing down, so please go down there because we don't want like Vegas Vicky's that just closed down that's been here 50 years.
That's so sad.
It's unfortunate. Small and medium businesses are struggling, but the community is aware that this is happening, and so they're banding together in all the ways that we can, and going and filling the pools, or going to help local business, and not just the corporations, which kind of, I guess, have had a negative stigma throughout this entire pandemic.
And also, I think the cool thing is too, people are being more appreciative of that too, so that we can all reopen again too. Karma can go good or bad. So again, you put good karma out there, good karma's going to come to you. I'm a fan of Sparkling's restaurant. I live like down the street from it, and again, another local restaurant chain, another local restaurant, a lot of people have been going to it, helping support, because again, before the pandemic, they were a good restaurant and supporter of the community. So a lot of people have still been going there and just having a good time, even though they're, again, limited seating, things like that. People have still been going and just kind of just showing their support. So I really like that.
A lot of community outreach too. Shout out to Alex Leon here from Foodie Fit, and they just raised $17,000 and given out tons of meals. Talked to Andrew Martinez from the Just One Project, and they've given out like 50,000 pounds of food since this has started, and mobile hotspots. So people are really banding together, and you don't see as much backlash. And I think that, obviously with the governor, no matter what government position you're in, there's always going to be haters.
1,000%.
There's going to be people, you can't please everyone, but I think they've done a very good job of what they can do and come together and don't put it as much of a risk. Just to give a side note of Governor Sisolak, I did make a comment after we had that giant rise, that second spike, and I was like, he did everything right and still ended up with like the worst result possible.
Yeah. And especially during something that no one has ever experienced. Like no one ever lived through this before, so no one really kind of know, like we're all just flying by the seat of our pants, in a sense, and just hoping that they make the right decision or the best decision, That's kind of all we can hope for.
Yeah, I think Vegas is definitely, I just saw it was at 16.7% unemployment still, which is one of the highest across the United States. Did not see that happening for Vegas, to see that the tourism industry would take us down, just as Vegas we were trying to transition off of just being reliant on tourism. Yeah. And this just shown us that we're not ready for that yet. Yeah. But we are trying to grow. It's going to be interesting to see what's built. Just like the last recession that happened, a lot of now multi-billion-dollar businesses were built during the recession. So there's a lot of things in the work right now that haven't even probably been announced. Yeah. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens.
And then we still got Resorts World is still doing its thing. Circa downtown is still doing its thing. So I think there's still light at the end of the tunnel. It just how far till we get to that.
I feel that. All right, so before we get out of here, I have 3 questions.
Okay.
Two of them are always the same, and the first one I'm about to ask, I'm just naturally curious.
Okay.
From what you can comment on, what's the craziest club story that you have from a manager's perspective, with keeping confidentiality, can't say everything. The nightclubs and day clubs and day life, you have to sign different waivers, at least from employees.
That's a good question.
Of things that you could say to keep people's name out of it. But there are some wild and outlandish things that happen outside of your traditional like fights and girls' titties popping out or whatever weird things kind of happen.
I did walk in on obviously at Omnia. It didn't happen at Omnia, but it happened at Hakkasan. But you know how at Omnia they have the different back of house, whatever. So I did walk in to 2 people having sex in the back house of Hakkasan. So that was kind of weird. Like I'm turning the corner, and like this guy's like just doing this girl. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Like I was like, okay, wow. So I went and got security, and he's like running through the club. I'm like, dude, he just like literally like X, Y, and Z to this girl up there. So. That was kind of weird, because again, it's back of house.
Yeah, people are walking through every 10 seconds.
Like, who
into
would
the
think
spot.
Let me just push this door open, and he literally had his pants full down, like around his knees. She was up on the rail, and it was like, I was like, dude, are you kidding me? And he was like, what's up? I was like, okay. So that was weird. I mean,
I could share one that happened in the first few years at Omnia, where some dude got impaled anally by a Grey Goose bottle.
What? Oh my God!
He had a very shitty time in Vegas. He was standing on top of where you can stand at the back cushions of a table, and he fell backwards onto the top of a Grey Goose bottle that was sticking up, and it went through his jeans.
God.
Went through his jeans.
Crazy.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who maybe sensitive to blood and stuff. There was definitely a giant trail as he went to the hospital.
I mean, and then also, outside of, now that I think about it, October 1st, I was at Hakkasan when that happened.
You were working at the time.
Yeah, so that was kind of obviously kind of weird because, we had obviously at Omnia too, I'm sure, but because since it was a Sunday, we had a bunch of people who were off work who actually were there, so, and then a lot of staff who were there ended up coming to Hakkasan just to get safe, and then we're kind of telling what was going on. So that was weird, to kind of be in the midst of that.
And there was like reported shootings at MGM at the
Supposedly,
time.
yeah.
Supposedly, people that had no idea what was going on. It was real chaos.
Like we were literally there shut in. I think they kind of let us go around 3:00 in the morning. Yeah, I think they let us go around 3:00 because everyone else around the hotel either fed for themselves, where the case may be, but like Hakkasan, security and above told us that we had to stay there until it was safe. So we were literally all just there on the dance floor, just kind of waiting, So
it is a really awkward scenario, and I'm sure over at Wet you just see a lot of like nudity happens too, and
and then by the time I got to Wet Republic, just because I had been in so many other nightclubs, like I hadn't seen anything that would surprise me, because by that time I think I had just seen everything.
You're like desensitized to it.
Yeah, I mean,
it's fine.
No, I mean I've seen a couple broken bones, of just people being stupid, but
I've always told people too, when people ask me about crazy club stories, is that the weirder things actually happen in conversation when you're talking to somebody and they tell you like about their Vegas experience or their trips or like different reasons and things that they've done in situations. I always found those more strange than actually like what happens at the club. Because most of the people at the club, they're there to either have fun and rage to DJ, or they're there to find a significant other for the night. That's like the main two reasons. So it's mostly just conversation or raging. But the things that happen throughout the strip, where there's more area to roam and kind of prance around, that's where the very unique situations happen. Yeah, especially when the volume's much lower at the time. Yeah. So make sure that you converse with your local tables and club goers, because that's actually where the real juicy stories are. And so as far as the same two questions, the first one is the year's 2030. What does the life of D-Erv look like?
Ooh, 10 years, man. Oh, man. Well, in 10 years, I probably won't be in Vegas anymore. I'll probably be back home by then, I should be back home by then. Because then again, people get older, your family gets older, your siblings get older, and you want to be kind of closer home. So in 10 years, I should be back in Texas.
And he's got a full functioning agriculture garden and maybe farm going on.
Erv's nursery.
Yeah.
My nervesery.
He's gonna There's the dad joke. Yes, I was waiting for it the whole time. going. Like I said before, Derrick is a large connoisseur of dad jokes. Before every pre-shift, he'd always drop us with a dad joke of the day. So I'm glad I got at least one out of you. That's perfect. The nursery is going to have probably some sort of VIP table service as well. We got Steve Aoki DJing in the palm trees.
Dude, that would be so dope. I love Aoki, man. He is.
I love that. Yeah, so Vegas temporary stop along the giant journey.
Yeah, I should be home in 10 years.
10 years is hard to predict though, but I like to see what people's trajectory is for life, whether this is just like a stepping stone, whether they're building something. Yeah. So hard to predict. Even just looking back 10 years ago, like Instagram was just starting. And social media was just beginning to see like kind of how it's just taken the whole world by storm, for good and for bad. Yeah. It's really hard to see. Maybe we'll be in a virtual reality world by then.
And just because out of my family, I'm the furthest one out, and again, sometimes, going home just on holidays isn't enough. So again, I think in 10 years, or at least by 10 years, I'll be back home.
Feel that?
Yeah.
And last one is, what does Las Vegas mean to you?
It's funny. It's different. When I first came here, Las Vegas was just a place to work. I told myself, I'm like, I'm just going to be here 5 years. I'm going to boost myself on hospitality and then go back home, and now I'm going on 7 years. So, it's turned into home. I remember working at MGM and walking through the casino, and all I heard was like slot machines. They like smelled smoke. I'm like, man, this sucks, dude. I can't believe anyone works in this. Like, this is, it's so annoying. But now those are like second nature to me. Like I'll walk through a casino and not consciously hear the slot machines or anything like that, because again, this is home now. I've got a great friend base. I've got a great family base here. People come and visit me here all the time, all times of the year. So I'm less and less homesick than I was when I first moved here. Like Vegas has literally turned into my home, and I love it here. It's funny. I'll go home sometimes and visit. I'll go home for like 2 weeks or, 3 weeks, and like, man, I can't wait to get back to Vegas, because there's just certain things you can do here that you can't do back home in Houston, like everything shuts down at 2:00 back home. Here, at 2:00, I may be going to the next spot, things like that, or, it's just fun here, and I love that it's still been the same from when I first moved here to now, that nothing has changed, Like I said, outside of wanting to be close to my family back home, that's probably going to be the only thing that makes me leave here. But other than that, I love living here, man. I love living here,
Home away from home.
It is, man. It is.
I'm sure the people who are listening in the industry want me to ask this.
Yo, what's up?
Will we see D-Erv return to the nightlife and day life as a manager?
Hey, if they'll have me, absolutely. Again, Hakkasan has been great to me for 3.5 years. I have no complaints. It's allowed me the opportunity to travel. I made a lot of money with the company. I made a lot of great people with the company. I literally have nothing bad to say about Hakkasan. And if they were to say, Derrick, come to work tomorrow, I would go.
Yes,
so I love Hakkasan Group. It's been really good to me. So
yes, family, happy.
It really is, man.
Happy fucking family. For all the listeners, how can they follow you and get connected with you?
Social media wise, on Instagram, I'm D_ERV. Twitter, I am DEE_ERV, and then Facebook, Derrick Ervin.
You have a Twitter?
I have a Twitter, but my Twitter is pretty much just so I can connect it with my Instagram, and then I just basically scroll through for news reports on my Twitter. I rarely get on there and give an input, but yes, I have a Twitter.
No idea. Yeah, I'm happy to follow you. Had no idea. There's only a few of us in the industry that kind of follow through the Twitter crowd. We're a rare breed.
But I like to use Twitter just to kind of get
get your news,
updates on the news, because it just happens right then and there, which is cool.
I respect that. Well, I appreciate you for coming on.
Thanks for having me, man. This was fun.
Yeah, this is a beautiful conversation.
It's a lot of fun, man.
I really pray for Vegas. I think we will recover, and there's going to be some sort of weird twist that's coming that we're not going to be able to predict, but I think it'll be good overall.
Yeah.
So we'll see, and so that we can all go fucking party, because we need it. we all need it. You don't realize how important partying is to people until it's taken away.
Yeah, and just the whole social aspect of just being around people and things like. Because again, there's been people that I haven't seen in a while, and then once I see them, it's like, oh my god, like it's just good to see them, and be around them and things like that,
Yeah, we are social creatures at our core.
1,000%, man.
Once again, appreciate this. This is a beautiful conversation.
Thanks for having me, man.
And thank you guys for tuning in. We'll catch you next.